So are all these D.C. issues adding to Wall Street angst, or might we see that angst here coming up in a couple weeks' time? To Center for Freedom and Prosperity Chairman Dan Mitchell. Hi, Dan.
Hello, how are you?
Doing all right. How long can we let this thing go on before, not we, Congress, before the rest of the country sees what's going on, Wall Street sees what's going on, and starts to get worried about it?
I don't think Wall Street worries at all about the government shutdown. It's basically just a handful of the non-essential departments that are staying home, and frankly, they're non-essential. Wall Street does worry, though, about the Federal Reserve, monetary policy, the normalization, what to do about all the easy money financial markets have been hooked on, and I guarantee you financial markets will worry a lot if they think Trump is serious about cutting off trade with Mexico.
Dan, they might be deemed non-essential employees, but they are essential. There's a reason why they're working and why they're hired by the federal government, right?
There is not a single reason why we should have a Department of Education, a Department of Housing and Urban Development. There's so many parts of the federal government that shouldn't exist.
But in this case, you're talking about the State Department, HUD. I could go down the list. DHS that this is affected, and thousands, hundreds of thousands of employees there.
And the ones that are actually essential or doing something at least theoretically valuable, they're still on the job. They're just, in effect, going to have delayed pay. And even the ones that are staying home are going to get all their pay in full. Now, it's not the, what's the old phrase? This is not the way to run a railroad. It's obviously a sign of dysfunction in Washington. I personally wish Trump was having a big fight with Congress about trying to control spending. Instead, he's having a fight asking that they spend more. He's not even proposing any offsets for his wall. So I don't think there are any good guys in this fight right now. But again, the shutdown fight is irrelevant virtually to the economy. The threats to trade are enormous. I hope and pray Trump is simply threatening Mexican trade in order to try to bully Schumer and Pelosi.
I wanted to ask you about that because it's a pretty big threat, one that we've heard from President Trump before. Today, he said shutting down the border would be a, quote, profit-making operation. Would it?
He has zero understanding of trade. If I stopped going to the grocery store, I would no longer have a trade deficit with my grocery store. I'd starve to death, or maybe I'd try to grow some tomatoes in my backyard, which would mean I'd just starve to death a little bit slower. Trade is good for people. It's voluntary. Nobody engages in trade, either on the consumer or business side, unless it's in their self-interest. So I think Trump is just profoundly, deeply wrong on trade. He just doesn't understand it.
Real briefly, because I know tax cuts are your lane as well. When Americans start filing their taxes here in a couple weeks, you think they're gonna because the polling shows they didn't really like this tax law, you think they might change their mind?
To the extent that people see that they're getting more take-home pay, which presumably they already saw in their paychecks, to the extent that the job market is strong, hopefully Americans understand that the tax cut is good. Now, it's good because it's lowering marginal tax rates on productive behavior. It's not good because we have more money in our pockets. It's all about increasing pre-tax pay, not necessarily about the post-tax pay, which is good. Everybody should be happy about having more money in their pockets.
But I wonder, real quick, if you worry that it gets dwarfed by trade, these other threats, the shutdown, et cetera, because, Republicans wanted to campaign on this past November, and they didn't, because there were so many other headlines out there.
That's exactly right. There are lots of things that affect the economy. Lots of things dominate the news cycle. I'm very happy about the lower corporate tax rate and some of the other provisions that Trump got through. But if that's this good, the protectionism is this bad. And that's the danger, is that if the economy goes south, people might blame the tax reform when they should be blaming the Fed or should be blaming the protectionism.
Dan Mitchell, have to leave it there. Thank you.
All right, thank you.